अस्मदा वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। So verse 7 we saw how we spend our entire lifestyle or life just from being a very small boy or a small girl, and then we just grow into young boy or young woman, and then we just become old also. So vriddha avastaha. Then when you become very old, you become chinta saktaha. Then you start worrying about all those things, because old age implies worriness about one's own health, about one's own family members, and also what will happen to the person when he is about to, or when the time comes. So that's why samprapte sannihite kale nahi nahi rakshati dukrin karane. So the time just keeps coming closer and closer, and just as the month just goes into the year, and the year goes into, so it just keeps going. So there is no stoppage. We just, so what it talks about is, but the person who understands what is the moksha, what is the ultimate aim in life, for such a person, he doesn't get lost, and he doesn't become either old or anything. So all of the artha, kama and dharma, see, before, when a person starts living, he first starts to live for artha, for being secure in life, having security, etc. He works very hard for that. Day and night, works in the office, earns money just to be secure, so that tomorrow there will not be a situation where I will be without any money or any security. So the person works very hard for that. Then after he works very hard, then the desire to have a better living lifestyle and enjoy a little bit comes into existence. So we saw in the Purushartha Nishchaya elaborately, but I'm just summarizing, touching upon how at different stages of life one acquires different things. So when you are a young boy, when we are all young, we like to play with different things, because that is the age of that's what age does to us. So we do not want to study Vedanta, we do not want to go and do anything else, not go to temples, but we just want to go out and play with friends always. But when you become into the Taruna age, so when you become a little bit younger, around 20, 25, that's when you start to seek the company of somebody. So if it is a man, the person seeks the company of a woman, and if it is a woman, the person seeks the company of a man. Because it is very natural, and it is something very common. So the person gets married, and then they spend the next 20 years of the lifestyle discovering each other, enjoying each other, becoming emotionally bound, connected, everything, etc. And they also age in the same manner. So the connection or the amount of time you spend in that is, we do not see anything in that. So when the person becomes very old, at that time only he realizes that I have come very far, and I become very, very too emotionally dependent on so many things, and now I'm not able to shake off those things. So he becomes chinta saktaha, he becomes worried. But what will happen to my son? And will he be okay? He's already got married, he's already settled down, he's already told you clearly that don't interfere in my life, I'm perfectly okay. But we still want to be concerned. At the end of the day, we are all parents. So you want to have a view as to how is he okay. So you want to go and fly, spend some time. So you are here, you are a reluctant guest for them. So maybe they don't want you, but they won't tell you they don't want you. So it's called toleration. So they'll tolerate to some extent. After some time, when they become very bored, they can also tell you that you are okay, I'm perfectly okay. If there's something, I'll call you. If there's something I need, I will talk to you. So you do not need to get worried about me. I got everything set. They tell you this also. And we listen to them also. But yet we are worried. Because it is a part of that age. Chinta Saktaha is part of that Vriddha Avastha. So when you become very old, these things happen. But when a person starts to study Vedanta and a person starts to understand that this is only my Parama Purushartha, and he or she starts very early in the ages, when you have the energy, when you have the time, when your kids are growing, and at that time itself you start, then by the time you're ready, when the children is supposed to get married, you have developed already some vivekam. Some attachment has already been, you understand what it is, and you tend to be a little bit disconnected or disassociated with anything. You just watch. So you do not get too much involved in all those things. So that is what Shastram does. So that's what it says here, Parabrahmani. But the person who is always engrossed in the Parabrahman will never get lost. So there are 4 ashramas being discussed here. First one was the Brahmacharya ashram. So when you are a very young boy or a young girl, you are Brahmacharini or Brahmachari, you just enjoy the lifestyle which is there. Then after that, Taruni Saktaha indicates the Grahastha ashrama. Then Vriddhavastaha talks about the Vanaprastha stage. So in Vanaprastham also, like Vriddhavastha also, there are people who want to enjoy. They still want to be like the old kid. They do not want to be called as the old man. So they still want to be remembered for those things when they were young. So when somebody accidentally calls them uncle or somebody calls, some mama or something like this, they get very irritated, very agitated because they do not want to be called or tagged, something like this. So this is the avastha of the Vriddha avastha, because there is a long, very deep association of the person with the body maintenance complex. One person doesn't think he is old enough. He is always young. So that's what happens in Vriddha avastha. So Vanaprastha is the stage. But the 4th stage called Sannyasa ashrama talks about the Parabrahmani. So Parabrahmani is a stage where the person takes up to sannyasa or leads the life of sannyasa. See, sannyasa does not mean that an orange robe has to be worn, or you have to go to Rishikesh, or you have to not talk to anybody, or you have to lock yourself in the room and then not just be alone. Not like that. Sannyasa is nothing to do with physical appearance, nothing to do with how you behave, etc. It is an attitude. You can be just by yourself, you can be a grahastha, you can be leading a normal life, and at the same time you can be also detached. By understanding what duties are and understanding what attachment is. So if you understand duties, then you are not attached. But if you confuse between attachment and duties, then there's always a problem. So we have to do our duties. As a parent, as a friend, or whichever it is, you have got a duty to do. And that is something Shastra says you cannot escape, and neither you must not run away from it. But in the process of getting the duties done, somehow we get entangled emotionally with the person. So we get attached. So you do not know when you are getting attached also. That's the beauty of it. By doing the normal duties, etc., by taking care of the person, by feeding the person, by taking care of everything else, you emotionally are connected to the person without your knowing also. Suddenly you will feel one day this person is not there, or he is not come home at all. And then you start missing that person, because all the karma which you have been doing for the person, activities you have been doing for the person, is no longer cannot be done. So the actions which you are doing, you are connected to the actions, right? And the person is no longer there, or separated, or is away for some distance, then all this longing comes into existence. So that is where it is very difficult to segregate this attachment duties. But Shastram tells you that anything which you feel connected emotionally, and where there is a dependence of your happiness on other person's happiness, this emotional attachment. So when you feel that I'll be happy only if the other person is happy, there is an emotional connection. But if you feel that I will still be happy, and my happiness is not depending on other person's happiness, because everybody's happiness is different, then you do not get too connected with that person. You do your duties to the best of your abilities. So always you say, I've done everything what I can for you. If you are not happy about it, I really cannot do anything more than what I am supposed to be doing. This is what I can do. So you keep doing what it is. Like the mother has got unconditional love for the children. Correct? So the mother doesn't expect anything from the children. So they just keep doing the duties. So the same way, we have to keep doing the duties as we are, and not get attached. That is called Parabrahmani, the status where one is free from all this, still in the samsara, still in the same lifestyle, everything is there, but one is free. So the next one talks about see, Kate Kanta Kaste Putraha. So Kate Kanta Kaste Putraha. It means what? Kanta means wife. And Kate means from where did your wife come? So was your wife there before? It was not there before. So Kantaha, it talks about the wife was not before, the wife has come into your life now. How Taruni Avastaha. So Taruni Avastaha, this, the verse before we saw, is connected to this. So due to the natural progression, so Kate Kantaha means you never, when you are born, you never had a wife. You acquired this, in the middle somewhere, right? And Kaste Putraha. So where did the son come from? So there was no wife in the beginning. There was no son in the beginning also. You are just by yourself. But then we had, the journey of lifestyle we have from we became, get married, then we have children. Then samsaraha yamativa vichitraha. So samsaro yamativa vichitraha. So this samsara is very vichitraha, means very strange. So Kanti, the word Kanta comes from the word Kanti, means brilliance or luster, attraction. It's called Kantaha. So that's why the word is used. Kate Kantaha. So it can be not only for husband, for wife also. So Kanta does not mean that it is only for the wife. It is also for the husband. So if for a woman, it is the husband who is the Kantaha, the attraction. For the men, it is the wife who is the attraction. So it says like this. Okay. And the word Kanta also comes from the word, in Tamil we have Kantam, which is attraction. So the magnet. See, the word for magnet in Tamil is called Kantam. So if you keep a magnet, right, it will attract everything around it. All of them, it will just keep pulling. It just gets sucked. So that's the word. The Kanta comes from the word attraction, or the where you get pulled into it, sucked into it, is called Kantaha. So Kate Kantaha. So where did your wife come from? And Kaste Putraha. So who is your son? So Kaste Putraha means who is your son or daughter? So the question is asked is here, when you came in the beginning, you didn't have anything. And now in between, you acquired this baggage or properties, you can say. So you have carried on and you become married, then you got a son. So they were not before, correct? So the samsara, it talks about this. So the samsara is very, very vichitraha. So samsaraha yamativa vichitraha. So before we, got married to somebody, we never missed anybody, correct? There was no missing, because it is not there. So when it is not there, you do not miss it. But when it is there, you start missing it. So that's why this Acharya is very saying, like, how did you get into this? Because of samsara. Because the samsara chakram is vichitram, and it's just the way it ropes everybody into this. And the word Kate Kantaha also means not just a wife. How long you have been living with the person? How long? So do you know her or do you know him? Because it is part of a time. So whenever you say, I know the person, then time comes into picture. Because always knowing is happening in time. I know this person for so many years. I know him for many years. Or I know him, they say. The next question asked is, how do you know him? How long do you know him? Those questions come, correct? So that's why it says, Kate Kantaha, Kaste Putraha, he asks this question. So Shastram does not say that you must not have children. What it tries to tell you is that they are all there. And it is part of the institution of marriage. But one has to understand that they are all traveling in a bus. So initially the bus was empty. So it stopped at a bus stop. Then one person got in. Then you travel for some time. Another person came into the bus. Then you travel for some more time. Another bus stop, somebody else gets picked up. Then they travel for a long time, for a long journey like this. One person gets down, means he departs. One person goes to the bus stop and he is not to be seen again because the bus is not going to come back and pick him again. So the person is gone. Second bus stop, somebody else departs. Then finally, the bus also is not there because the driver of the bus also departs. So there was nobody before, and in between all the people are there. So that's why he says that you were unborn before and you only picked up these things and you will be unborn in the Janma also, because all these things which you are acquiring in the middle, they are only a passage of time. So it is all a matter of time. So Putra is time, wife is time, and including we are also time, born by time. Then I am samsara vichitraha. So this samsara itself is vichitraha because you don't know why you were born and you don't know why you got married also. See, there's a desire to get married and you don't even know why you want to get married. Sometimes you just say, I want to get married. And it can be due to physiological desire. It can be due to emotional desire, companionship, and many things. Financial security. In today's environment, financial security also is one of the most important drivers for getting married. Because in developed countries, one person cannot live by just by himself or herself. So you need for artha, you need the financial security also. So even though the person, so all the institution of marriage is here, talks about here, is for many reasons. Artha, Kama, and Dharma. Right? So initially Artha comes into picture, then Kama comes into picture. After that, Dharma only comes later. So even Dharma also, the person does Dharma or Punya Karyam for attaining more success in life. So there is more Artham and more Kamam is there, more desire and more, but now because he is doing Dharma, he expects a little bit higher also. So more Punyam. So in this Janma, I have done all these things. Now I want to acquire more Punyam and more austerity I will do so that I am known, I am well recognized, I am secure, and whatever is left over in this Janma, next Janma I will be able to enjoy those things. Or I will go to Brahma Loka. So even when we have the Shastram study also, see all the rituals people do, all the karmic karmas people do, they are all done with the intention of success or getting more popular or getting fame or getting more punyam or doing the right thing. So all of them have an agenda for leading a better life this Janma so that they are protected, or if at all they pass away, they go to some place where it is very beautiful and secure also. So the last place you can go, if at all you go, is Brahma Loka. See, if you are studying Shastram, halfway, if you depart due to some reason, study is incomplete, correct? So those people who have studied to some extent and they have understood what Brahman is, but they have fully not ascertained the knowledge. The full knowledge is not sunk in yet. And half, say 80% they have done study. 20% is still not assimilated yet. So those people are given a chance to go to Brahma Loka. So they wait there. So when the person goes there, it's a story, don't take its list. There's no travel there. Nobody knows who is going and coming back. It just tells you how insecure we are. So when the person goes to the Brahma Loka also, he sees there are 20 people standing before him. So he has to stand in queue because there's already 20 people before who has been through this process and waiting for Brahmaji there. And Brahmaji is very busy and all this Srishti, etc., all these things are running around there. So he doesn't have time to come and give Brahma Jnanam to these people. But that place is a holding place for the last dose of Brahma Jnana. So if at all you don't complete anything here, Brahmaji is supposed to be the Chaturmukha Brahma, will come and give Brahma Jnanam to the people who are waiting there. So even there, when the person goes there, he also feels limited because he has got 10 people ahead him. So my turn is going to come last. I don't know when I will get mukti, when Brahmaji will come. These people have to first go through, then only I will come. So there also the insecurity comes there. So this is called samsara vichitraha. So this insecurity or this limited nature is always going to be with the person, whether the only way we can get out of this is achieving Purna Jnana in the Janma itself. You do not wait for Videha Mukti or you just wait for Jivan Mukti. Not like leaving the body and then get Mukti and go to some other place and waiting there. You have to get Jivan Muktaha. Means this life, this Janma right now, we must be attending for freedom. Not like waiting for 10 more years to get jnana, etc. Then, kasyatvam kaha kruta ayat. So, kuta ayat. Kasyatvam kaha kuta ayat. So, kasyaha tvam means what? Who do you belong to? So, do you belong to anybody? Because you do not belong to anybody per se. All your belongings are only in time. And all your belongings which you think are object oriented only. So it is always an object of knowledge. It is always subject to time. And all those time and object are limited by nature. That's why it says here, kasyatvam. So who do you belong to? And one key thing we understand is that we are always born through somebody, not of them. So whenever we are born in any family, right, we are born for achieving a particular objective, and the vehicle for transportation is the parents. They do not own in reality anything. This is something we have to understand. The parents cannot claim ownership saying that they are my children. They are your children in terms of biological things, yes. But in terms of their karma, they are not the children because they have come on their own accord. The children have come on their own accord, and you are just the transporting mechanism, just like the bus. So they have come, there's a passenger standing on the bus stop, and it happens to be the right bus number is coming, and he gets out of the bus. He travels with you for some time, he gets down and goes. So in the same way, Shastra, that's what it says, kasyatvam. It means it is always a transportation mechanism. It is a vehicle for transportation, and you must not take really ownership. You must not hold on to anything. It's a very difficult thing to accept because how can we say that it is not my children? See, this argument will come. Okay, accept Shastra what you're saying, but how can you say that it is not my children? This is my children. I gave birth to them. That's what and I raised them. I did everything for them. But the reality is, are they going to be there with you all the time? No. Are they going to give you happiness all the time? No. Neither are you are going to. Both is not possible. They cannot be with you, and you also cannot be with them for long. There will come a time of separation when people have to go on their own ways, and they do because of their prarabdha karma. Because everybody has got their own karma to do, so they have to spend that particular thing. So they will spend as much time as you can for exhausting their prarabdha karma in the time available. But when the situation demands that those other prarabdha karma which they are ordained for cannot be met in the environment, they will leave. Because the conditions which are there is not suitable for the person to exhaust the prarabdha karmas. You're getting a point, right? See, the conditions which are, let us say that there's some, a son is born. And the son is born for some time and, is 14, 15, 20, 25 years of age, 22 years of age. And he lives with you, because the person has got some prarabdha karma, something there. We do not know his prarabdha karma, neither he knows our prarabdha karma. But both of them don't know anything. We ourselves don't know prarabdha karma. He also doesn't know prarabdha karma, correct? So he is living with you, then he is just using the mechanism available for living his lifestyle as governed by what is ordained for. But things change. When within 3 years' time or 2 years' time, he decides to go overseas or decides to move to the house and then suddenly is not available anymore. Because that particular mechanism or that particular environment was which was for them, it's not available anymore for them. They have to find another method or another environment for them to expend their prarabdha karma. That is what samsara pushes them. So samsara chakram pushes each of us. It pushes us and it will also push them also. That is why he says here, samsaraha ihati vichitraha. So this vichitra means this is very strange. One can't explain how this happens, but this happens. So one has to be very careful about this, how to handle this. So kasyatvam means from whom you have been born. Then ka kritam ayat. So you come from where? So three questions, okay? Kate kantaha. Who is your wife, from where she has come? Do you know her before or before, right from the beginning? You do not know. Kaste putraha. So which putra you are talking about? Did you know this putra before? You do not know. So he has come in between, just recently. Then kasyatvam. So from where did you come from? You do not know that also. Then where are you going to go? Come to the ayat. So we don't know any of these answers, because that is why when we are living in such a ignorance, surrounded by us, that we do not know where we come from, we do not know where we are going, we are picked up in between something, and we are hoping that this is what is going to take us there, but Shastram tells that this is not, any of these things going to help you. Because we are riding on something which is not permanent, which is going to go away, and if we depend on these things for happiness, it is not going to give you any satisfaction. That's why it says here, Tattvam Chintayaha. So you think about this logic. Tattvam Chintayaha means what? Think about this Tattva. Think about who you are really. Why have you come here? Who is your wife? Who is your husband? Were they before? You know them before? How long they will be here? And after this, where will you go? So all these questions has to be thought about. So he says, think about this Atma. So this is connected to the previous verse, where one goes from brahmacharyam to grahasthashrama to vanaprastaha and sannyasaha. So there is a transition of phases. So you go from brahmacharyam when you do not anything, then you become to grahasthashrama. So there's also a movement of phase. Same here also, there is a gradual transition from all these things into tattva jnana phase. So tattvam chintayaha tadahi bhrataha. So he says, so bhrataha means please brother. He says, so bhrata means brother. So please, my dear brother, think about this. So Acharya comes finally saying, oh my dear brother, where are you going? What are you thinking about? You think about all this tattva. Who is his putra? Where did he come from? How long will he stay here? Will he be staying for long? Is he your happiness? If he's gone, will you be happy? If your wife is gone, will you be happy? If your husband is gone, will you be happy? So all of these things you think about it, brother. So he says, bhrataha. Correct. So kate kanta kaste putraha samsaraha ayam atiya vichitraha kasyatvam kam kuta ayat tattvam chintaya tadeha bhrataha. So it's a very hard-hitting message. As I told you, Bhaja Govindam is not for, it's not polished because he's got a hammer in his hand and he's just hammering away information saying that all these things have to be thought about it. Then verse 9, a very important verse again. Satsangatve nissangatvam. So sat sangaha. Sat means the truth or where the truth lies. And sangaha means association. So satsang, when you say, it means an association where a person is searching for truth or searching for the truth of one's own true existence. Atma Jnanam. It is not satsang where you just go and do some bhajane, etc. Not to satsang. Or just go and meet somebody, chant some mantras, and have prasad and feel very good. I was in satsang today the whole day. So satsang becomes an activity. But satsang in reality means, sangaha means association. So one has to join or one has to be in the company of people who are in the pursuit of sat or truth or consciousness. That's only truth. So he says when you develop bondage or when you develop association with people who are in the pursuit of knowledge, then naturally you will get disconnected from other society. So satsangatve nissangatvam. So nissangatvam means it is you will not be part of something else. Because you got only 24 hours. That's all you got. 8 hours you go to sleep, 3-4 hours you need for your daily duties. Then you got to go to work for about 8 hours a day or 9 hours a day. So you only got how many? 3 hours in a day free, 2 hours maximum you got. And in the 2 hours, what all things you will do? If you become connected with some satsangaha, then you will not be able to find time for other socializing activities. This is also another problem. See, when you study Shastram, this happens to a lot of people. They feel very disconnected. That means the people who were there before, you're well known in social circle. See, this person is a very good cook, very nice host. If you go to their house, always there'll be lots of things will be there, and they are nice people, nice host. So you would like to go to the people, just like that. But when you start studying all these things, your diversion takes place now. So now you want to connect with people who are in this type of mindset. So as you start studying this, as you start understanding this, your mind goes into these kind of activities, and thereby you're starting to develop a dispassion or vairagyam towards other things. It's not that you do not interested, you do not hate them. What it means that you don't feel like anymore participating. It is a natural progression. If you still have a desire for that, you still go there. Or you will be in two boats. One day you'll go to satsang, next day you'll go to disco party. Or someday you'll go, somebody says, I'll have drink, I'll wine. Friday is a wine day. So I'll have wine on Friday. Thursday, I will do, some puja I'll do. So they have got their duties. See, you have to enjoy everything on time. Puja day is puja day, wine day is wine day. And going out for movie day is movie day. So there are people like this. But it doesn't talk about those people. Because they are not, the Purushartha Nishchaya is not there. The commitment is not 100%. For them, it is just how to spend the entire week. So they got planned everything. Monday is for this day, Tuesday is this day, Wednesday is, I'll do some movie, something like this. Or Thursday, I'll just go and meet somebody's house for dinner. Like they have, this party, etc. They just go there. Friday, I will study something. And so they got whole life activities busy there. This doesn't talk about it. What it talks about is when you start your pursuit, that means your purushartham is very clear. Then you will feel inclined or you'll be driven into that particular direction. Thereby you lose interest slowly in other areas. It is a natural progression. You will yourself feel it. If you're not feeling it already, you will start feeling it maybe after 1 year or so. And it may be a problem because your own friends who were liking you before, they will say, just leave them alone. I think they are going a wrong direction now. So according to them, wrong direction because they do not know what direction is. But you know the direction. So that's why it's satsangatve nisangatvam. So when you get connected with the satsangaha, you will get automatic disconnect other things. You'll no longer be interested in being in social, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or what is it, TikTok, something like this. So all these things are all like I got account everywhere. People say, see, I'm available in TikTok, I'm available in Facebook. You can write me anywhere I want, in LinkedIn, in Gmail, social account, all of them busy. So you'll be busy writing. At 11:30 also, you send a Facebook message, you'll respond. How are you? You'll upload picture there. You'll do a photograph there. You will naturally feel disconnected. You may be having an account with all of them, but you will no longer feel be going there to check every day what it is. It might happen once a day, then it will become once a week, it will become once a month, it will become once in a year. Then sometime for 3-4 years, you will not even see the account. Then Facebook will come and tell you that, have you forgotten something? There is somebody, is your friend there, you want to connect. See, the social media engine is very strong. If you click on something, it will trigger a whole lot of events. Because intelligence is so hard, beautifully built, that you click on any messages accidentally, somewhere, you do not know. And that message will trigger so many other, and they'll all be connected. So if your interest is not in this, you will not respond to any of them. That's why the first line, satsangatve nisangatvam. So when you nisangatve nirmohatvam. So when the first step is you have to get to connected to a group like Vedanta group here, so that you don't have an interest in other things. At this time you can go to do something else also, but you decided to spend time here 1 hour or so. So the 1 hour available, which is for TV watching or something else, not available anymore. This is a lifelong commitment you have made for some time at least. So over a period of time, this will become your habit. It will become a routine. Correct. And the routine sets in means that particular time people want to come there also, they won't come. They will first call and say, oh, you got class. First they will ask you, so you got class, right? So I'm not coming. So initially, first week they won't come. They will call you. Second week they will say, can I come? Say, no, I've got all this, I can't come. Third week they will not ask you. Fourth week they will disappear. They will not be there at all. So it is a natural progression. It's not that they don't like you or anything like this. It is because you have chosen a lifestyle which is different from what they are choosing. So they will get disconnected automatically. But for that, we'll have to make effort. But if you say, today I think I'll skip class, I'll go there. Then the person will say that, oh, you are not committed to class. So whenever I call, he may come. So next time we'll try, same thing. Forget today, it's okay. We'll just go out one day. What happens? We're going to catch up on recording. It's okay. So one day will become 1 week, will become 2 weeks, 2 will become 3 weeks, and it will be regular. After that, you lose interest, and then you go the whole direction. So this is what is the Dridha Nishchaya. So one has to make a firm commitment that yes, this is what I want to pursue, and that will slowly disconnect you from everything else. So nisangatve nirmohatvam. See, moham means desire. So you no longer have a desire for chasing those things. So you don't have a desire to go and attend parties or go to any lavish weddings. Or if you go to the wedding also, there are 4-day wedding nowadays, 3 days. So there is mehendi there, then there is something else, 2-3 things are there. I don't know what it is. So people call and I only go to the wedding, only for 1.5 hours I go. I do not go to other things because all these things, it is somehow I'm not there. Physically I'm there, mentally I'm not there. I will not be doing anything there. So I told, don't call me because I will not be able to understand what you're trying to do or something. I'll just be physically there. Don't waste my money on me. You get somebody else, you can, because they have to pay money, right, to get people. So the number of attendees are there. Some $100 per plate or something they have to pay to somebody. So you waste money on me. I'm not going to enjoy the food because I don't eat that kind of food also. And I will not be physically doing anything there. So you get disconnected. The desire also leaves you slowly. So what I'm going to tell you is slowly the desire will leave and you will not be interested in those kind of things. So nissangatve nirmohatvam. So it will also come to you naturally. You do not need to do work very hard for that. No, I'll have to leave the desire. I'll have to work on desire. No. You just do one thing, all of them will fall automatically, they will all come in line. But you have to be, first thing was satsangam. You have to be in satsanga first. Unless you are in that group or unless you follow that path, then you will not be able to disconnect from other things. And if you don't disconnect, moham will be there, correct? So, nirmohatvam. Then, nirmohatve nishchalatvam. See, chalati means wavering mind. So if you don't have an ardent desire anymore, then your mind becomes a little bit tranquil. Like you do not have so many things to worry about. See, previously you had WhatsApp, you had Twitter, you had Facebook. There's so many things were there. You're connected like an octopus. 8 connections are there. So anybody touches something, the octopus actually will try to test it. See the octopus, right? Octopus, it has got a center eye there, but its tentacles are spread 8 directions. And the moment something comes, it will sense and it will go and grab it. Same way. So when the particular desire leaves you, the particular desire is no longer there in you, then your mind becomes less tranquil because you've got less things to worry now. You do not need to worry anything about who is writing what, who is updating what. Somebody is writing a photo, I like. Then you will see 100 people like this person. There are some comments. So and there will be a comment after the other comment. So it is an endless process. So you'll be out of all these things. Because your mind is now more controlled and your mind is available for other useful things. See, you need not study Shastra, you may not be spending the whole time studying Shastra. But your mind will be much, much clearer because it's uncluttered now. You do not have 100 things to manage anymore now. You already have work schedule to manage. You already have children to manage. You've got other things, work pressure, at home, all the things are there. Financial pressure, security, all the things are there. Then you also have this other things, which is putting pressure on you to be socially connected and be, So when you don't have this additional things, which is not required for you, if you think hard about it, then you've got a now limited set of 4 or 5 things. And that also you study Artha, Kama, Dharma, you know the fallacies of it. You outgrow it. So eventually you'll be having only 1 or 2 variables you have to manage. And you can manage it easily. But if you have 6 variables, 7 different things, then your mind goes to 7 different things and becomes a big mammoth task. You get very stressed. Your health suffers. You're not able to enjoy also. We think we are enjoying, but we are actually working very hard. You ask people who are in parties, etc., they'll say, I don't have time. It's just, too busy. On and on it goes. Till I came at 11:30 last night. Today I have to go to another birthday party. Tomorrow there's another party is there. So on and on. They're stressed about going to parties because they like to go there, but they talk about it because they are not able to cope with that kind of load. So they get stressed out of this. So all these things will take you out. Shastram, it does slowly by taking you out of all these things and letting it just be yourself. People may enjoy, people may call you, people don't call you. They talk to you, don't talk to you. It doesn't bother you anymore. Because you're not enemies with them. See, you're not enemy with them, but at the same time, when somebody comes and talks to you, talk to them nicely. But you do not go overboard and say like, oh, I'll come to your house, and then they'll come to your house. Those things, they'll get stopped eventually. So you get more time. So, nirmohatvam, nischalatvam. So the nischalatvam means the steadiness of the mind comes into picture. And when steadiness comes, nischalatve jivan mukti. Then you are on the track for jivan mukta. Because a steady mind is required for the pursuit of Shastra. And unless the mind is steady, is unwavering or less wavering, then only you will be able to progress to Jivan Mukta. Otherwise, it's not possible. So the craving is something, or Nisangatvam is stopping of the craving. Like you do not crave anymore for this. See, if I get it, it's okay. But see, I really have to have this. I have to, somehow, I don't know, I just have to have this. So it's called craving. You just cannot get out of the habit. So this craving stops for you. I'm sure all of us don't have that craving, but this will also further stop also. You will just be more and more relaxed. And when you see all the craving, desire stops, you will feel much relaxed. Your credit card balance also will improve because you no longer want to spend money on so many things. Otherwise, you go to all the things, they keep telling you, you buy this, or you bought this item, they recommend this item. So, because everything is stored on credit card and everything, all online shopping, everything, right? It doesn't take time for you to order. One button click, order complete. Because my son orders so many things. See, previously he was not ordering. I got an Amazon account. So he knows I got an Amazon account, the card, etc. So you'll keep, I want to buy this. So the moment I buy for him, the Amazon will actually prompt me saying that, oh, you bought last time this keyboard, maybe this will be interesting for you. Because they are very, that's how they start promoting the desire. But if you do not have the requirement, if you don't need anything for you, then you do not buy anything. You don't go there. So this is what is meaning of the satsangatve nissangatvam, nissangatve nischalatvam, nirmohatvam, nirmohatve nischalatvam, and that's jivan mukti. Okay. So nischalatve jivan mukti. Is it clear, this verse? Anyone has got any questions on those two verses? Things to ponder, right? Because see, Shastram doesn't discourage people from having family or pursuing dharma or having children, etc. It is very much required for everything. But what it tells you is that understand the limitations of all these things. Understand that this is not going to give you permanent happiness, because all these objects which you are hinging on, they are going to keep changing all the time. And if you want to be happy by yourself, because at the end of the day, what everybody wants to be happy for themselves, not for other people. You want to be happy for your own self. And if the happiness happens to be disturbed by somebody else's, happiness, then you don't want to be that. You say, I would like to manage my own happiness. So what do? You keep searching for those things, which is the connection between those things. You try to cut those things which is giving you pain. And that is what Bhajagopal is trying to tell us. That understand these things, think about the tattvam, and then develop over a period of time that particular attitude. It does not tell us that tomorrow you should cut everything and just go only Shastram way, etc. It is not possible. You'll have to develop this over a period of time. It takes time and maturity of a person over a period of time. It doesn't come just like that. eating food, choosing the type of dress what you buy, or lifestyle what you adopt, everything is covered in this. So you can choose what lifestyle you want, how much you want to spend. All those things are covered in this. Sridharji is clear? I think you came a bit late, but maybe I was a bit late, 5 minutes late. Shrikantji, you okay?
Yes, sir.
So nobody has got any questions in today's class. Maybe a hard-hitting lesson.
Already we have entered into satsang, no, sir.
Yeah, that's correct. Satsang, see, this is 1 hour I'm talking about now. I've been busy in the morning. Like, I forgot about this because I had some other class before, and unless Shrikantji reminded, then I said, okay, I'll complete other class and come. So satsang keeps you busy because you do not have other things else to do, and it keeps you busy because we need this. So even Shastra says young people should start, because the sooner you start, you get a head start. By the time you are 60 or so, or 55, 60, you already know what you're doing. You can go to teaching, you can do those kind of things. But when you are starting very late, then you'll have to find something to keep you busy. So the routine has to be set in the beginning itself. The Shastram always says you start very young. Do not wait for age to come up, catch up with you. See, there's no real age for learning Shastram. Even 80-year-old can also learn. But it is always better to start early, young, so that your mind is, the right perspective is turned up, and then it's easy to get. So next week we'll see another hard-hitting lesson, where it talks about what is the use of all these things. Like when your age is all over and your body is gone out of shape, what is the use for anybody? So all these things it talks about the realities of life and how one should approach all these things. So we'll see next class how we go about it. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Harihi Om Tatsat Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Namaste. Shubhratri.
Namaste.